Not a lot of positive vibes for the college football playoff. The semifinals on Friday. Actually, in a way, I appreciate the college football playoff games with Alabama and Georgia being complete no-shows, just of no interest in watching Alabama and Georgia dominate their opponents, Cincinnati and Michigan State, because it really freed up my New Year's Eve. I was good. I was able to just not have a care in the world and keep it low-key thanks to another pandemic New Year's. But a lot is being made out of the broken college football playoff system. Just 3 of the 16 semifinals that have taken place in the college football playoff era have stayed within 1-score margins. People wanted to make the Alabama-Cincinnati game a referendum on Group of 5 opponents. No, this is a referendum, as with most things related to the college football playoff. This is a referendum on Alabama and Nick Saban. And as long as Nick Saban and Alabama are doing their thing, the college football playoff is going to look like this for the foreseeable future. Giglio, I feel that you are an Alabama connoisseur. What vintage is this Alabama team?
Probably 09-ish.
Yeah?
Caught a break or two, won the championship because of that break. They obviously have a lot of talent, but this is not last year's group that was just a wrecking ball.
Yeah.
This is not, one of those vintage teams with a Julio Jones or one of their other outstanding receivers or Derrick Henry where you go, oh, okay.
Right.
That guy is a future Hall of Famer.
Right.
I know what he looks like.
So this team is still going to win the championship because I don't believe Kirby Smart is going to be able to cook something up against Nick Saban.
I said it the Monday after Auburn let him off the hook. That was the chance. They were dead.
Yeah,
they were gone.
Yep.
And everyone should hate Auburn for what they did, because that was everyone's chance to get rid of Alabama, at least for a year. Because the scary thing is they're going to be back next year. And like that 2020 team, you're going to see the veteran version where they have 2-year cycles at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Other schools have 3- and 4-year cycles. Alabama has 2-year cycles where guys sophomore, junior year turn into what we expect to see out of them.
It's unreal. So that's why the college football playoff is in the current state that it's in, is that Alabama is just too good.
I also think you have to learn and know how to play against Alabama. I'll give you an example. First of all, you can't give up a touchdown on the opening drive, which Cincinnati did. You can't give Alabama life. Alabama is a snake. And the second they start squeezing you and they know they're squeezing you and they know you have no idea how to get out, like a big brother on Thanksgiving just strangling a younger cousin or a little brother, right? You can't give them that first score. Cincinnati gives them the first score, and I'm going, oh, boy.
Yeah, not good.
Now Cincinnati drives down the field, right? Quarterback makes a nice play, makes a nice read, has a guy in the end zone. It's slightly overthrown. The receiver doesn't come down with the ball. And I turned and I said to my family, I said, you have to make plays like that to beat Alabama. Mm-hmm. You have to make the great play in the end zone to beat Alabama. Yes, it was slightly overthrown. Yes, there was contact. It would have been you had to make an exceptional play, but that's how you beat Alabama. Then Luke Fickell, with his Luke Fickell brain, decides, I'm going to kick a field goal. I literally stopped watching the game after that. I literally stopped watching the game.
I'm glad you brought, because we see this in the NFL all the time.
Yeah.
Like, heck, I think we saw this with Cincinnati and Kansas City yesterday.
That was unbelievable theater.
We're back to, if you're going to beat Kansas City, now that they've kind of gotten out of whatever cobweb
they've stopped turning the ball over, routinely.
If you're going to beat Kansas City, you're going to have to play aggressively in order to do that, and that's exactly what Cincinnati did to beat Kansas City yesterday. If you're going to beat Alabama, you can't settle for field goals.
No.
You got to be aggressive. So, yeah, you lost the game right there. Because I'm with you. Once that happened, I went, forget it. Forget it. We're out of here. Hopefully Michigan and Georgia will give me something. No.
And Georgia scores on the opening drive, and it was actually a nice little play call.
Michigan already had their Super Bowl, man.
Oh, boy.
Michigan already had their Super Bowl.
No, they did.
So, This has led to, well, what do we do to fix the college football playoff? And I know that there are a lot of people out there that are convinced that you don't need to expand the playoff and that what we saw on Friday is the reason why you don't need to expand the playoff. Because clearly the best two teams, Georgia and Alabama, are going to play for the national championship. I don't think that's the correct way of looking at it. If you expand the college football playoff to 16 teams, at the very least, you know what I'm getting? I'm getting much more entertaining games in the lead up to the college football playoff semifinal. What's the biggest talking point coming out of the week now that the college football playoff was boring? The bowl games don't matter. We got Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard on ESPN yelling at clouds. You know, back in my day, I walked uphill in the snow both ways to play my football games. Here's Kirk Herbstreit and Desmond Howard being old men.
What's the difference as a player in saying these games are meaningless when, Des, we played in quote-unquote meaningless games? I mean, I know you guys were here a lot, but I just don't understand. If you don't make it to the playoff, how is it meaningless to play football and compete? Isn't that what we do as football players? We compete. So I don't know if changing and expanding it is going to change anything. I really don't. I think this era of player just doesn't love football.
That's what I was about to say.
Woo! We're dealing with I can't hear anymore. I can't hear him. This era of player doesn't love football. Please, goodness, stop. That kind of stuff. First and foremost, Kirk Herbstreit, when he said these things, was like on a Saturday morning after he'd been working for the last 48 hours. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's tired as hell and he might not know what he's saying. That being said, why did games mean more to players back then? Let's be factually accurate about where things were. Back when Desmond Howard and Kirk Herbstreit were playing football, how many bowl games existed?
There was about 20, I think.
It was just around 20.
Yeah.
How many of them exist now?
Well, there's 44.
How many
including the playoffs?
Including the playoffs, right? Here's the other issue with the idea that, they just don't love it anymore. Your own network and how we cover college football has become so centrally focused on the 4 teams that make it to the college football playoff that you yourself, despite the fact that you air 40 of these bowl games, ESPN, you've created an environment where these things do not matter. You want more of them, and then when you get more of them, you don't focus on them. And then there's another element of college football people out there like the Dennis Dodds of the world who watch a grown man have mayo poured on them and then somehow feel like, this isn't why I watch. Actually, if I can be honest about college football, that's the appeal of college football. It's weird. So here's the solution to the college football playoff conundrum. You got 3 options. You expand the playoffs, which creates more meaningful games, and some of them home games, depending on what version of the college football playoff expansion you want to look at, because I know some home games were in the mix. You expand the playoffs, number 1. Number 2, you have no championship game whatsoever. You go back to the old bowl system where everybody has their bowl alliances. You play your Rose Bowl the traditional way it's supposed to be played, and at the end of the season, everybody gets on the horn and starts arguing about who should be the rightful national champion. You leave it to the coaches poll. You leave it to the AP poll. I don't know, come up with another poll if you want to, and you just have the argument because college football people love the argument. Or the third option, back in the BCS days, there was the +1 model. Do you remember the +1 model? This is probably the most ideal situation. That would involve all the bowl games. You go to your corners, you play your games. They're all meaningful for your own special conferences. And then when the bowl games are settled, you then add the one championship game based on the 2 teams that look the best in their bowl games. That, to me, satisfies all parties. But as Alex Kirshner wrote on Slate today, it's too good of an idea for college football, so it will never happen. So those are your 3 options for the college football playoff. At 4, it really doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I have a larger point to make about the college football playoffs. We can do that perhaps in Hey Joe. Maybe we'll get a super secret Hey Joe question about that because we have to hit the break. But I'll just say this real quick about Kirk Herbstreit and his point about today's players not loving the game. Given what we know about CTE and concussions and long-term injuries, the argument could easily be made with the information that the players have now that they actually love the game more than any other generation that has come before them. So